The third and final part, Van Halen, top three songs from their studio albums. We left off with For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. So now moving on to Balance, released in 1995. Unfortunately, the last record was Sammy Hagar on vocals. Um, I think this is an underrated album. It doesn't seem to get quite the fanfare, at least 5150. And some of the other ones, I think OU 812 gets a little bit of hate too for its radio friendliness. Not every song on here is a banger, but there's quite a few good ones. Lead singles, Can't Stop Loving You. That one grabbed me from the gate when this album came out and I bought it on CD. And then Seven Still's cool. Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do. Amsterdam. I like Not Enough. That's more of a slower one. And they have some instrumentals. And then Feelin', that's like Sammy Hagar and a guitar, and it eventually builds and grows. And so I like that song. You can feel the emotion in Feelin'. So Balance, top three songs here. I'm going to go with the lead single, Can't Stop Loving You. That's a good one. And then I'm absolutely going to go Feelin'. I feel like I probably knew the song and I liked it, but when I re-listened to this album many years later and was buying more and more of Sammy Hagar's solo stuff, feeling really just spoke to me. And so that one went on, the playlist. You listen to it on a more regular basis. So Can't Stop Loving You, Feeling. And then it came down between Seventh Seal, and then Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do. But I'm going to go with Seventh Seal. I like the album opener. I like the guitar work in the chorus. But yeah, that's going to be my third favorite song here on Balance. And so now this is where it gets a little dicey with Van Halen. Sammy Hagar takes off. A lot of drama in the band. And, meanwhile, you have this band Extreme doing pretty well. Their lead singer, Gary Sharon. So when I heard Van Halen had brought in Gary to replace Sammy Hagar, I was pretty open to it because I liked the Extreme stuff. I was curious what they were going to do. And so Van Halen III, now with their third lead singer, releases this album in 1998. So I was a year out of high school at this point and a big Van Halen fan. So I bought this as soon as it came out. And man, people just, if you look at the ratings, I want to say this has less than 3 stars from the fan reviews. I'm not seeing it here on this page right here, but I saw that earlier today. But I actually like it. I like this record probably because I like Gary from his work in Extreme. Fire in the Hole, track number 7. That's going to be one of my favorites on this one. And good energy, good Van Halen rock. I think with Gary bringing over some of the stuff you get in Extreme, there's more progressive type music. A little more funky, I would say, but absolutely not as catchy as the stuff they did previously. But you've Eddie Van Halen, so riff master, songwriting's excellent. Anytime he's playing, I dig it. So we're gonna go Fire in the Hole, Dirty Water Dog. That's track number 5. I like that one too. Some good energy. And then the last one will go is Without You, which is track number 2, but that's the first track is like a instrumental. It builds, then goes right into With You. So yeah, a good rocker. Like that one. There was a couple other, I would say Only One I Want was in consideration. And then a real slow, moody one, Once. There's some piano in there, if I'm not mistaken. That was one I had in consideration too. And then I believe on this one right here, Eddie Van Halen sings the lead vocals on How Many Say I. But top 3 songs, Van Halen 3, we're going Without You, Dirty Water Dog, and Fire in the Hole. Now, one more studio record from Van Halen. We're going to take a big break. Doesn't work out with Gary. They move on from him. Rumors of reuniting with Sammy and David Lee Roth over the years. But here we go. Is this 14 years later? 2012, A Different Kind of Truth comes out. And so they're back. They're back with David Lee Roth here on vocals. I was excited to hear this was coming out, but it definitely underwhelmed me. I'm going to go on a limb. I said, I think I like Van Halen 3 better than this one. This is a lot of music they had left over. And so as they're reunited with David Lee Roth, they rework some stuff, get some vocals on these songs. And Tattoo, I believe, was the lead single. That one got a lot of hate too. A lot of people were shitting on Tattoo. It's not one of my top 3 songs here. But it's Van Halen, it's Eddie. So, I'm going to buy it, listen to it. So She's the Woman, track number 2. I like that one. That's going to be one of my favorites here. Blood and Fire, track number 5. Like that one too. And then we have Big River down, track number 12. Yeah, just kind of like rockers. They're classic Van Halen sounding style. Again, don't love this record. Don't listen to it too often. But if I'm going to listen to it, make sure I'm going Big River, Blood and Fire, and then She's the Woman. I also like You and Your Blues. I think that's a cool one. And then Tattoo's not bad. I don't hate it. It's just okay. It's just standard run of the mill. And let's do one more album. And this is important. This is the greatest hits of Van Halen, Volume 1. There's 3 awesome songs in here that aren't on any of their studio albums. And so the first one is going to be when the Twister movie came out. Van Halen wrote a song called Humans Being for Twister, and the guitar solo on there was one of my favorite of all time. But Eddie and Ed, and I'm going to give Michael Anthony credit too, give it to Eddie mostly. Eventually, as it's building this solo, the breakdown work, the music sounds like a tornado. You could hear it spinning. And I thought that was always cool because Twister was about tornadoes. So Humans Being, and I would say it's the heaviest Sammy Hagar song. But yeah, it's in my top 3 songs of the Sammy Hagar era, Van Halen. Check out Humans Being if you haven't yet. There's a video on YouTube. And then these last 2 songs, David Lee Roth comes back before Different Kind of Truth, and Music-Wise Magic, phenomenal. That's one of my favorite David Lee Roth songs. It might be, that one's going to be my top 3 David Lee Roth. It might even be number 1, depending on the day. And then I also like Can't Get This Stuff No More. So grab those 3. I think these 3 are better than the additional tracks you have on the best of Van Halen, because then you have Sammy Hagar doing a few of those songs, and those ones don't grab me like these bottom 2 right here. Humans Being, Me Wise Magic, Can't Get This Stuff No More. Good stuff. And you can just buy the single on YouTube if you want. Stream it on, I'm sure you can get it on Spotify, YouTube, you name it. All right, y'all. That wraps up part 3. We did the entire Van Halen catalog, top 3 songs from each album. All right.